when you shared some information with me, you told me a story about a creek in your backyard and what that taught you about faith. Can you share that?
Yes, we have, at the edge of our property, we have a creek, and beside it, or feeding into it, is a feeder creek. And normally, the feeder creek is empty. You know, there's no water in it, but the rest of it, it just flows very calmly. But if we get a few days of heavy rain, the feeder creek, it really gets full, and then the rest of the creek it starts almost overflowing into our yard. But then there's a waterfall effect, and it like almost crashes into the creek. And when I look at that, I thought of my own faith journey, which started about 18 years ago. And I saw that how God has used storms in my life to teach me ways in which I can trust Him more. Because after the storm is over in my backyard, you know, everything is calm and cleansed. If there's anything that gathered on the embankment, it's gone. And it was through the storms in my life that I have felt the closest to God.
How have the storms in your life caused disruption?
Since 1990, I have lost both my parents, a brother, a cousin, and most recently my 18-year-old nephew. And that has caused me more than anything to cling to God and to really be able to feel His steadfast love for me. When I was at my worst during those times, I found He was the only thing I could really cling to. I have a wonderful supportive family, wonderful friends in church, yet during the hardest times, He was there, and He's the one who lifted me up.
You've described the struggles with your weight as a storm of your own creation. Can you explain that?
Yes, I've learned over the years that in different areas of my life where I was disobedient, storms occurred. And I've learned that overeating was definitely one of them. When I was a teenager, when I started dieting. And since then, I've tried just about every diet imaginable. I struggled with bulimia for a while. I exercised excessively to the point that I trained for a marathon and ran it. And then most recently, about 3 years ago, I started working out at the area gym. Got up at 4:30 and would work out for an hour and a half. And all this to try to lose weight. And got very discouraged because either little weight would come off or some would come off, and then eventually I'd regain it.
And how did that make you feel about yourself?
Well, mostly as my weight went up, my self-esteem went down.
Mm-hmm. So how were you finally able to lose the weight?
Well, about 3 years ago, I was introduced to a program that had the hunger fullness technique, and I was able to see how God was tied into all this, and realized that He desired for me, to lose weight. That was what He wanted from me. And I was able to lose about 30 pounds on that program, and just found it to be, for the first time, seeing how God, what God wanted, for me, what His best was for me.